I'm Julie Bean and I'm here at artbeads.com. Thank you for joining me today. We are going to be designing with the Art Beads exclusive Cicada, I always want to say Cicada Pendant to mark the 2024 brood that was wonderfully designed for us by Anne over at Gardanne Beads. So if you watched our show last week, you know that this is the pendant right here. It's a beautiful hand enameled. So Anne actually makes all of these by hand, and she made us a very special limited edition batch. There was not that many available, and there's actually only 4 available left. And once these are gone, they're gone. She just made us a set number, that's it. But this is this beautiful hand enameled Cicada pendant, and it marks the 2024 brood. So what she actually did is she looked at the colors of the 2024 brood, and she made us these beautiful pendants. And so today we're going to take this pendant and turn it into a necklace design. And I see Tina's here with us. Hello, Tina. And I see Louise from the UK and Diane over from Illinois. It's so fun to see where everyone is coming from. And that is one of the funnest things about these lives, at least I think, because I love seeing people who are joining us from all over the world, and we're all coming together to enjoy the love of jewelry making. So that is so much fun. I see Deb Floros is here. Hi, Deb. I get to see Deb next week in person, so I'm very excited about that. Hi, Deb, and hi, Dawn from Washington. It is great to see everyone here today. So like I said, if you're just joining us, we are going to be designing with this beautiful Cicada pendant that Anne from Gardanne Beads made us. And what is really fun is you are going to design here with me. I have a design already made. If we want to tweak it at all, let's do it. So I don't usually pre-make a design fully. This time I did because I had so much fun pulling all the colors together. But as I'm making it, if you want to see a change or a modification, let me know. That is the beauty of doing this live. Now, a couple quick things to talk about. And I see Mary Lou and I see Sandy and from Connecticut and California. This is so fun. Okay, so a couple quick things before I flip my camera down and we see what we're going to make today. If you are on artbeads.com/live and you are commenting, I can see them. Yay, hooray. If you're over on any of our other platforms, you're on YouTube, you're on Facebook, thank you. That's wonderful that you're joining us. Definitely feel free to comment. Just know that I can't see them in like real time, live time, so someone will get back to your comments. It just might be a little bit delayed. If you want to comment during the show and have me see it and we talk together, hop on over to artbeads.com/live. Just follow that link in the description of the video you're watching right now, and it'll bring you over here and we can all chat together because it's so much fun. And then if you are on artbeads.com/live, a couple little buttons you'll see on this platform, little heart button. You click that and it shows me little floaty hearts. So I know you like what you're seeing like right now, which is really fun. Then there's also a share button, which is a little arrow. You can share this. And all the videos are archived, so you can always go back and rewatch the replays, which is fun. And then there's a shopping bag. So the shopping bag lets you see everything in the entire show all at once. So you don't have to wait for me to point something out. You don't have to wait for Eric in the background to pop up a banner. You can see everything all at once. You can add it right to your shopping cart. Okay, hi, good morning, Santa Barbara girl. It's good to see you here today too. I know you joined us last week, which was fun. Okay, guys, I want to show you what I made, and then we're going to start designing. Let's flip the camera. So this is what I came up with. So I have a few different techniques here because I wanted to do a necklace that not only focused on this beautiful pendant, but a couple new techniques to do too that I haven't shown in other shows. So draping chains. We often get a lot of questions about how do you measure your chains so that they drape nicely. So we're going to do that here. So we've got some draped chains. We're also going to be using ball chain in a necklace design. That is another question we get a lot over at Art Beads is how do you connect ball chain? And the answer is actually very simple. There are these wonderful little connectors. They almost are like little clamshells that you use for pearl knotting, and they connect to the ball chain. So we're going to be doing that. So I thought that would be fun to incorporate into a design as well. And then we're going to be just mixing metals. I really love the copper and the gold. So here's this pendant, this cicada. I'm going to keep calling it cicada. I don't know why. But we've got gold. So this is an antique gold color by Nunn Design. And then we've got an antique copper. And I really like those colors together. I think they're so lush. And then what I also did, which was so much fun, is I went shopping on the Art Beads website and I pulled out beads that I thought would complement this little guy really nicely. So I have these speckled beads by Raven's Journey. So if you see these, they're Czech glass and they're black with a gold speckle on them. So I thought that would be really pretty. I also have these really pretty beads, again by Raven's Journey. They're Czech glass. And you see they've got that gold with the clear. So this added a little bit of a lighter element to brighten it up a little bit. And I found these beads. So if you bought this pendant last week or throughout the course of this week, look at this color. This was a perfect match for the eyes. So I really wanted to just pull that color out just a little bit and be able to add a pop of color. So I love this. I don't remember what this one was called exactly. I know it's in the shopping bag and I know I see a banner of it on my screen, so I know it just popped up. But I thought that was a great color. And then I did just a nice classic black. I also thought we'd have some fun with bead caps. So using them in a little bit of a different way. We're going to use them the traditional way, but we're also going to use them in a little different way as well. So I thought those were really pretty. These are by Nunn Designs. So we have an antique gold and we have an antique copper as well. And then I just have a bunch of findings and different things that we're going to put together. I didn't use this in the design, but I thought this was really pretty. I thought that was lovely. So I thought, you could, if you wanted to do 3 strands, I did a 2-strand here, but if you wanted to do 3 strands, I thought this would be really pretty to put on either side. So that's a variation for it. So you've got these guys, which would be beautiful strand reducers. And then I connected him to a really pretty ring, this like organic ring shape. And I thought, well, that works, but you could also use this. Oops. So you could also use this. So when you have a bigger pendant like this, it's nice to have something to anchor it to. So you could absolutely use that as the anchor point as well. Oh yeah, Kat, I think that were you saying these would make great earrings? Because yeah, I think those would be beautiful earrings. And I love the detail, if you can kind of see that. It's so pretty. So I'm connecting it to the ring, but I thought this kind of U shape was really pretty too. And then I did just pull out a couple other beads that I didn't use in the design that I thought if you wanted to add a little bit more color, if you bought the cicada and you want to match it with a color, I thought that turquoise was really pretty. And then I pulled that out also in these little beads as well. So I wanted to give you guys some choices because I know last week we talked with Anne, and this week it's going to be all about the designing and the actual beads. So I want to show you in person what some of these beads would look like with the pendant if you were one of those lucky few who got the pendant. So you can see those colors. Okay, so now we're going to design. Yay. Okay, so I'm going to kind of try to clear this off a little bit. And these are my colors. So you know how we all kind of have our personal taste and our personal style. If I am designing just for myself, these are my colors: the antique gold, the black, the antique copper, the browns, the sepia tones, the turquoise. I love like gold and turquoise. I think it's such a pretty color combo. So I just love that. And the mixing of the metals too is really fun. Okay, so I'm going to clear this off a little so we have an area to work. Oh, I like these little dangles too. I thought that was a fun element to the design. So that hangs down when you wear it. And hi, Dee, good morning to you as well. Okay, we're going to pull that guy up a little bit, and we're going to start by really building from the bottom up. So the first thing we're going to do is we are going to connect our cicada pendant to one of these organic rings. So you see it has that really nice organic feel to it. It's not smooth and even. So what we're going to use is this Nunn Design twisted jump ring. So you see it's got that nice twisted wire to it. And we're going to open this up. And we're going to put it through this hole. So we're just going to do that really easily. Kind of wiggle it a little bit because it is a twisted wire jump ring, so it's not smooth. And then we're going to put it onto our ring. And close it on up. Okay, so now this has an anchor point from which we can connect chains, which is what I wanted. Now, again, you could do it with a different item. You could do it with this. You could also, if you wanted it to just connect onto a smaller object, you can connect it onto this. So you could do the twisted wire jump ring, connect it onto this as well. Okay, now we're going to do our chains. So the way I did this chain is I cut just shy, let me measure it actually, because I ended up adjusting it. At first I cut 5 inches, but then I realized my little end caps added some length to it. So I had to adjust. So yeah, we're going to do a little over 4.5 inches of the chain. So when you have draped chains, you need one to be longer and one to be shorter. So I'm going to do 4.5 inches. So I just got my little ruler right here. And the way you cut ball chain is there's a little metal bridge between each of the balls and you cut through them. So I'm going to do right to here. So if you can see that little metal bridge is what we're going to cut through. And we're just going to cut it. Now I want these to be the same size. So on this case, I'm just going to lay them down together and I'm going to make sure that their balls line up and that we have the equal number of them. So I'm just going to go side by side and I'm kind of monitoring that they're staying together. And then I see exactly where I need to cut. Perfect. So now we got 2 equal lengths of chain. And I see Eric is giving us a good reminder that myself and Becky Dahl and Deb Floros and Sarah Lovecraft and Andrea Bieber are all going to be at Bead Fest in Lancaster, Pennsylvania, coming up July 31st through August 3rd. So we're going to all be teaching a class together. We're going to actually have 5 different projects all in the same class. So if you are attending Bead Fest, definitely check that out. And also come by and say hi to us because we're going to be doing lots of fun stuff. Okay, so to connect your ball chain to your rest of your necklace, you need some end cap. You need some way of connecting it. And that's what these little clamshells are for. Now, I don't use them with glue. I think you could if you wanted to, of course. I find that they work just fine without glue. So these are sized appropriately for the 2mm ball chain. And you just sit it down in there like so. So it's just resting. You see how there's a little thread bridge sticking out and it's just resting in there. And I think I need this on the other hand though. Okay, so it's just resting in there and I'm holding it in place. Hi, Teresa. Okay, and then I'm just taking my chain nose pliers and I'm closing it. Okay, and there you go. So now what you have is you have basically a faux bead over the last ball. So like a faux ball over the last ball. And it's just a little bit bigger than the others. And now you have a nice loop to connect everything to. So you want to do that on both ends. So we're just going to take this, set it down into it, and close it on up. And you give it a little pinch so you see that's nice and closed. And I hadn't really worked with these prior to this project, but now I really like them. Because I like the look of ball chain, but I like it in segments versus the entire one, like an entire necklace of it that has that little peanut that you usually see with ball chain. So I like it that this makes it a little fancier. So here we go again. Oh, thanks, Santa Barbara girl. I'm glad you guys can see what's happening. I'm glad the camera work is going good. Okay, here we go. And we just pinch that shut. And it shuts really easily. It's not hard. I'm not having to exert a lot of pressure. And you just have that nice and shut and it's going to stay in there. So now I feel like I can use ball chain with earrings and a bunch of other applications. Oh, and Anne is joining us with Gardanne beads. Hi, Anne. We are having fun designing with your cicada pendant today. There are just 4 of them left. That's all. Now I did put in the shopping bag a couple other beautiful Gardanne pendants that I thought would go really well with this design as well. So if that sells out, which I think it's going to, then there are a couple other options for people. Okay, so now we've got the end caps on all of the ball chains. And now what we're going to do is we're going to connect it to this ring. So again, we're building from the base up in this case. So what I'm going to be using are these jump rings right here, and they're a little heavier duty, and I like that about them. And what we're going to do is we're just going to attach the ball chain via that little loop. So we've got that loop here. And then we're just going to put it on this ring as well. Now these are pretty thick jump rings, and I went with that because I like the aesthetic of it. I thought that this design kind of needed that. So it does make it a little harder though to close because it takes a little bit more strength around this ring. So I feel like you kind of have to wiggle it a little bit more. And then I don't normally do this, but I want to make sure there's no gap, because I don't want anything to slip out. So what I'm going to do is very carefully pinch it to make sure that gap is closed up. I don't normally do that because sometimes when you pinch it, you kind of slide it wrong. So you just got to wiggle this a little bit. Okay. So we've got that one attached now. And now we're going to do the same on the other side as well. And you got to open these a little bit wide because you're going to get around that nice big organic ring. Okay, and then we've got that little loop. Link onto it and just go here. Okay. And again, I want to make sure that there's no gap. So in this case, I am doing a little pinch to close it on up. Okay. So now we've got the 2 ball chains. Now we want that draped look. So if we go back to the original necklace that we're building this off of, in order to have a draped chain appearance, so when you hold it up, you want one to drape lower, kind of like a nice archway, like a U-shaped. So in order to do that, they can't be the same length. So actually, you guys, I'm going to hold my camera up and see if you can see this a little bit better. Okay. So see how when you hold it, I want that dangle not to be tangled either. Okay. There we go. Okay. So see when you hold it up, how the bottom one is looser and it drapes. So in order to do that, and in order to create this little dangle here, which I think is my favorite part of the whole necklace, we have to cut the second chain longer than the first. Otherwise, they will just pull tight and be the exact same length. So let's go ahead. Yes, so Christine, you definitely could use the next size up of jump ring. Absolutely. These are what I ordered and had, and they definitely worked, but you could go up a size too. So let's see. We're going to go ahead now and we're going to do the next chain. Let me see though. I kind of think I want to attach this chain over here first. Okay, so what I'm going to do with this jump ring is I want to make sure it's fully closed. So just wiggle it, because sometimes when you get jump rings, oops, and my camera is not happy seeing this right there. I think we need a little blank space. Sometimes when you get jump rings, they are just a little bit open, so you can kind of see that. In this case, we want to use this like it's a closed ring. And so we're just going to make sure that it's closed before we go any further. And Anne, I'm so glad you like the design. I had so much fun. I started the show in the beginning saying that this is my personal style. The colors, the cicada, the browns and blacks and golds, and this is what I love to design with personally for me. We have a really cool shop in Pasadena, California, and it sells all these cool items that have like cicadas and octopuses, and it's like all vintagey inside and steampunky, and I just go in there and I drool. It's so beautiful and luxurious and luxe, and I think it's one of my favorite stores. Okay, so we're just attaching this. Oh, thanks, Santa Barbara girl. It is very green, my backyard. We bought our house, and the backyard was kind of a mess. And that was our first big project because we have 2 young kids. And we're like, we need a place for them to run. So that was our major home improvement project. So 2 boys have so much energy. It is unreal. Okay, so now we're going to attach this to either side. Okay, so now we have something that is going to help us build the next phase of this. But first we got to do the second draped chain. To do the second draped chain, remember we cut this one a little over 4.5 inches, and then we added the end caps. So it made it more like 5. For the second chain, we're going to do 6 inches each. Now, I hope I have enough of this, so let me double check before I cut. This is a 6-inch ruler right here. And so, 6. Yes, I'm going to have plenty. So this chain here, it has small links and big links. So what I want to do is I want to only work with the big links on the end. And so I'm going to go ahead and trim it. So I'm just going to trim the end chain link off. That's the small one. And I'm doing that because I find it a little hard to get a jump ring through the smaller one. And I just find it easier to do it through the big one. So I'm going to make life a little easy on myself. All right, so now I'm going to cut it so it's 6 inches. So now I'm just going to trim this and trim off that little bit so I don't have any little hanging bit. Okay, so there. Now, this I cut to 6 inches. What's more important to me than remeasuring the second length is just making sure that the 2 lengths match. So I'm going to make sure that this is trimmed up on this side. Okay, and now I'm going to take a head pin and I am going to go ahead. Oh, Beading in Colorado, love the twisted rings. Oh, me too. I'm using these for everything now. I love those rings. Okay, so this was our cut length. So we're going to put the cut length on it first, the one we actually measured. And now we're going to line it up. And again, the advantage of a camera that can move is we are going to line it up like this. And you see how it's even? We're going to go keep holding it. We want to keep looking at it and make sure it's even. And you kind of can trace it. If it starts to look a little uneven, you can kind of trace it until you see where you need. So right here, I'm going to flip this down because it'll be easier without the sunshine. But that's how you do it, where you hold it up and make sure it's even. So now it's all trimmed. We have 2 equal lengths. Yes, measure twice, cut once. Yeah, and measure it again. I totally agree. I think that was like an old sewing adage that my grandma taught me because she was a quilter. And I have definitely taken it to jewelry making as well. Okay, so now what we want to do is we're not ready to do this just yet. We are going to take one of these pretty little black beads and we are going to put them onto, I'm going to look at my original sample real quick for reference. Okay, we're going to put it onto a ball head pin. Now this is a really heavy gauge head pin. So I feel like I don't need to make a wrapped wire loop with it. I'm just going to make a simple wire loop. So I got my wire looping pliers. I'm just going to grab it, pinch, push down. Oh, it's a carpenter's rule. That makes a lot of sense, Teresa. Carpentry is something I wish I knew how to do. I really do. Okay, I'm going to trim that. Okay, and then we're just going to kind of even it up a little bit. So we've got one little dangle made, and we're going to do the same thing with the second dangle. Okay. I love that, Deborah. Okay, Teresa, you're correct. Originated in the Middle Ages Builders Guild. That is awesome. Thank you for that piece of information. Okay, so what we want to do now is we want to put one dangle on each end. So we'll just take the little loop that we made and we're going to open it up and we're going to slip the end chain link on. I feel like we maybe have some history buffs here, which I will count myself included in that. I love history. Okay, so we have that closed up and we just have that on the end. We're going to do that on the other side too. So not the other side, the other length of cut chain. So one on each cut chain. Oh, thank you guys for the hearts. Okay, so we've got the 2 dangles on here. So now what we're going to do, these dangle ones are going to go up towards here. So when we are building this, we're going to put the ones without the dangles using jump rings onto that big ring again. And again, we're building the necklace from the ground up, from the bottom up. I don't know if other people do it like that. I tend to always do that, whether it's earrings or necklaces or whatever it may be. I seem to go from the bottom up. Okay, I'm just going to open that jump ring, link it onto that nice chain link that's all ready for us. And we are going to connect it in the spot between the other jump ring with the ball chain and the cicada. So we're just going to put it right in this spot here in the middle. And close it on up. And that actually closed pretty well. I just want to make sure that it doesn't have a gap. Okay, and then we're going to do the other one on the other side the same way with the same placement between the cicada and the ball chain. And it is important when you are draping chains that you pay attention to where you're linking them so that you have like a top and bottom chain. Okay. So again, we're just going to take that end one and now we're going to find its home right here. Okay, and then I'm gonna pinch this, and I like these pliers. You'll see me flip between pliers a lot. I definitely have ones that I like for different applications. These wubbers are pretty substantial, so if I'm doing any type of pinching or prying or twisting, I really like the wubbers. If I'm doing fine detail work, I like the Xuron. Okay, so this is what we have. Actually, it's backwards now. Okay, so we've got all of our chains attached, and now what we're going to do is we need to attach the second chain to the twisted jump rings that we have already attached our ball chain to. So let's lay this out so that it's not tangled. Okay, I'm just sorting it out. Okay, so there we go. So it's not tangled. We've got the 4 chains, and I'm going to go back to my sample where you see we have this dangle, and the dangle is 1, 2, so it's on the 4th. If you look at this, hopefully you can see this in this light, I'm going to count the big links, and on the 4th link, I'm going to put a jump ring and attach it right here, and that's going to create that dangle effect. So here we go. Okay, so I'm going to look at this chain right here, and I'm going to count 4 big links and stick my jump ring through the 4th one. So if you can kind of see that. And now that one I'm going to connect to my twisted jump ring and close it. Okay, I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. But that's kind of, it feels very like Art Deco to have this little dangle right here, especially with that pretty black bead. Okay, same thing over here. Open it up, and we're going to do 4 again. So 1, 2, 3, on the 4th one. Now you could make it longer, you can make it shorter, you could leave off that dangle. Totally up to you. You could put a different bead on that dangle. Okay. All right. So if we did this right, and we did, it should drape. So you see that nice drape occurring. So now what we need to do is start to build our bead segment. So we're going to go back to the sample. And we're just going to, again, build from the bottom up. So here's the first bead segment that we're going to do. Okay. So, oh, thank you guys. I'm glad you like it. So we are going to do this one right here. So we are going to use a couple different bead cap styles, a couple different beads. And if you look hidden under this one, I don't know if you can see it, but you'll see it when we make it, is a little bead, which gives us a little bit more length. So that's a little trick, is you can kind of hide a bead under a bead cap when it's facing down. It kind of like covers it, and that gives you a little bit more length, and that's what I wanted. So we're going to use our wire now. So we're using Art Beads Designer wire 22 gauge, and this is antique copper. And I thought that antique copper color was really, really pretty with the cicada. So we're going to cut ourselves a length. I'm going to do about 5 inches. That might be a little much, but I think it'll be okay. So we've got about 5 inches, and we are going to create a wrapped wire loop on one end. So just going to go about 1 inch from the top. Again, using the wire looping pliers just to make life easier. Twist it up. And I'm straightening out this side. Oh yeah, I cut a little bit too much wire. That's okay. I'll use the scraps for something else. I have a bin where I keep all my little wire scraps because I don't like to waste anything. Okay, so on this one, we're okay to just go ahead and make the wraps. Actually, let me rethink that. Yes. Okay, we're going to be okay to make the wraps. Okay, so you can do 2, you can do 3. The 22 gauge is nice, and that is pretty substantial as it is. So it's not like a really fine 26 gauge, which you would always need to make sure you do multiple wraps so it's secure. But since we're using a pretty heavier wire to begin with, it's not quite as important of how many wraps you do. It's more personal preference. All right, so we have a wrapped wire loop. Now we're going to start with one of these itty bitty beads. So this is in the shopping bag too. I think these are 2mm by 3mm. And again, they're Czech glass. And they're just a really pretty, to me, vintagey looking kind of soft brown color bead, like a chocolate. You can kind of see that. And we're going to start by putting that one here, even though we're not going to really see it. We're putting that one on first. And then we're going to take one of our antique copper bead caps, and we're going to put it facing down. There's a couple sizes of bead caps that we're going to be using. Then we're going to use one of these pretty gold beads, followed by one of our larger antique copper bead caps. So this is the larger size one, and it's going to be facing up. And now we're going to grab our black bead, and that is our segment. So you see what we've got here. So we have the small bead cap facing down, followed by a gold bead, a large bead cap facing up, followed by a black bead with that little hidden brown bead in there to give us a little bit more space to work with. So now we're going to create a wrapped wire loop right up here to secure all our beads in place. Again, up to you how many wrappings you want to do. And you could do messy wrappings too. That would look really pretty with this style as well. Okay, just trim off that excess and tuck our tails. Okay, there we go. That's the segment. Now we have to do another one of those because we're making this necklace symmetrical. You don't have to, of course, but I think I want to do it for this one. Oh, and Tina's waiting on her cicada to be delivered. That's exciting. Yeah, these are so cool. And I thank you, Anne, for doing this for us. This has been really fun to have something so special. It was really great of her to do this for us. So thank you. Okay, another wrapped wire loop. And just kind of keep in mind, try to do about the same number of wraps on each one, just so that you have the same length happening. If you just do one wrap on one side and you do like 4 wraps on the other side, you're going to have a different length at the end of the day on your necklace sides. So it doesn't really matter how many you do, just try to be consistent. Okay, now we're going to do the same sequence again. So there's our bead cluster. And now we're going to go up, make another wrapped wire loop. Okay. Too many pliers on my table. Okay, here we go. But there's really never too many pliers because we all have our ones that we love. They all have a different purpose. Okay, so we've got our next segment. So now we need to connect it. So we're going to connect it to each side because we're just going to keep going and building upwards. Oh, and Beverly's waiting on her cicada too. You guys have fun deliveries coming in the mail soon. Okay, so we're going to open up this jump ring that we had originally closed. And we're going to, I know it's a little far away from the table. I'm sorry, guys. I'm trying to keep this necklace kind of secured here as we build it. So we're just going to open this up and we're going to slip in that little loop that we made, that wrapped wire loop, and then close it on up. And the beads look great from all direction, so you don't have to really worry about what direction your loops are. Sometimes, you know, when we're doing like a earring and you want your earring to hang straight, you worry about where your loops are facing. In this case, the beads look beautiful from all directions, so you don't have to worry about that. You do have to worry if you get too strong with your pliers though and twist it. There you go. Okay. So there we go. So we've got that now. So our next segment is going to just want to incorporate this little pop of kind of orangey red. And I will show for you guys who just joined us a little late, the Cicada Pendant has these really cool bright eyes. Now I found a bead that matches them. I think the color is pretty spot on. So I want to incorporate just a little bit of that, just a nod to it into the design as well. So I am going to I'm going to do another wrapped wire loop. And this is going to be a smaller segment, so I can have smaller bits of wire. So you see I just cut those. And the wire is very soft and easy to cut. So we're going to start another wrapped wire loop. And let me think how I want to do this. I want to, because one is going to have to connect to an existing wrapped wire loop. So I think what we're going to do is we will start with a complete wrapped wire loop. Okay, we're going to do one side that is wrapped. Okay, and we're going to trim, because it's always a little easier to do one that's just wrapped. Okay, and now what we're going to put on it is a black bead followed by one of these kind of orangey red beads. Now, if you want more orange and red in your design, just add more of these beads. Okay, so that's what we've got right there. And now we're going to start a wrapped wire loop, but we're not going to finish our wrappings until we connect it to the necklace that's already been made. So you just make a little loop, and now you open up your little loop. So there's a spot for it to slip into, so you can see that. And now you just grab the loop that's already been made, slip it in, and then close it, and then make your wraps. And don't forget, if there's anything you want to see and learn more about that I'm working with, you don't want to wait for our great team to pop up the banner for it. Just click that shopping bag icon and everything is in there. I know there's a lot of different items we're using this show. So just click on that shopping bag icon and you can then learn all about each item. You can add it to your shopping cart right from there as well. Okay, that got a little funky for some reason. Okay, we're just gonna go with it. Okay, so there we go. So now we're building it up. So we need to do the other side with our other cut piece of wire. Okay, here we go. Oh, and I see Michelle from our Art Beads team just shared that there's only 3 of the exclusive black copper cicadas left, which is this one right here, and only 5 of a fern green one. And those are all handmade by Anne, which is amazing. And then Tina, did you buy those beads at Art Beads? Yes, sure did. They should all be in the shopping bag. If there's a specific one that you're interested, like the red ones, if there's one, maybe Michelle or someone can put the direct link in the chat as well, but definitely. Everything you see here, I ordered from Art Beads for the show, including the tools. So now we're going to do another black one and another of this kind of rich orangey red. And now we're going to make another wrapped wire loop, just the start of it. So we can connect it onto our existing necklace. Okay. down in. So you see that little connection right there? And twist. So who has cicadas where they live? We don't here in California, at least not that I've seen. Maybe I know we have some California people watching. Have you guys seen any here in California? I haven't. I think Eric said he's seen them in Tennessee. And I think Anne, did you say you've seen them too? Okay, so you didn't see, okay, I'm trying to read comments too. Yes, and the color match for the eyes did work really well. I was so happily surprised. Oh, Colorado has them. Okay, Deb hasn't seen any in Arizona. And then Diane, you didn't see the ring the cicadas hung from or the open circle loop. Yes, they are available. I hopefully put them in the shopping bag. Here's the ring. This is by Nun Design. It's an organic ring or organic little loop. And then I want to say this is by Zola Elements. And hopefully I put that in there as well. So if not, we can find you the links for sure. And then, oh, Nancy, you have them in South Carolina. So they're pretty big, right? Isn't this about the size of them? Because I don't think I've seen them. This is, I think, about the size, right? Like they're a pretty large scale. Okay, I'm going to keep building here. And then the next one is going to be another one of these twisted wire jump rings. So we're going to just go ahead and link that. So just put that onto the little loop we just made. Oh, you can hear them. No, not me. Oh, and Annie, you don't have them in New York. Okay. Yeah, I lived in Texas for a little bit. My husband was there for work, and pretty sure we had him in Texas. But that hearing him, that's what I remember. I remember the sound, like in a tree or off in the wooded area. But I didn't grow up with them in the Pacific Northwest, so it was something that was very new to me. Okay, so now we've got the rings, and we only have a couple more things to do. We're just going to now do this last segment. So this is where we're at. We've basically done all the way up to here. We have one more segment here, a length of chain, another little segment, and attaching our clasp. And then we will be done with our necklace. So I'm going to keep going, and we're just going to make more of these links. So I love wire because I feel like I get so many different links out of it that I can create. Because you get, here it says 45 feet. You're going to get a lot of different beaded segments out of 45 feet. Yes, like an electrical hum. That's exactly how I would describe it. And Ohio, okay, Beverly, you get a lot of them in Ohio. Yeah, they're fascinating. I think they're really cool. Okay, so then we've got another wrapped wire loop, and let me see what I did on this one. So this one is going to connect to a little piece of chain. So I'm going to cut my chain first. So I've got another color of chain. So this is another antique gold chain, and I want to do 1 inch of it. So again, because we're doing a necklace design, we're going to need 2 1-inch segments. Okay, put it down on my ruler. Cut through one of the rings. Again, I'm not so concerned with the second one for this length of it. I just want it to be the exact same length as the first one. So I assume I measured correctly for the first one. So I'm just going to line it up for the second. And even if I was a little off on the first one, I'd rather them be both matching and off versus try to measure it with the ruler for the second one. Okay. And I'm just going to cut through that link. Okay, here we go. We've got 2 equal ones again. And I'm seeing that Eric is sharing that we have another awesome designer joining us. So Ryan Ashley Anderson is joining our community. So we've been having so much fun connecting with other designers and them joining us in our community here. And of course, Andrea, she's done a couple shows now, which has been great to see her style, because I think we all have a different style that we bring to the table and a different tips and techniques and tricks. So it's fun to see so many different designers all together. And I know I'm learning a lot from everybody. All right, so I connected that one right to the jump ring as I was talking. And I'm just going to do my wrapped wire loop. And trim my tail. Tuck it. Always tuck your tail. You don't want it scratchy, especially on a necklace. And then we are going to now do a gold jump ring. So this is the same jump ring as the antique copper, but it's in gold. And we're just going to put that one on. Then another one of these cool gold beads. And then another bead cap. Okay. So there's this segment right here. And what we need to do for this one, that's why we pre-cut our chain, is we are going to start our wrapped wire loop. And we are going to open it up. Another nice thing about creating links with the wire is they're really easy to connect chain to, because you've got such a nice little length of chain available. So we just connected that on so you can see how that's linked up. And we're going to close it on up. Make our wraps. And I really, really love this chain. It's a nice weight to it. I want to say this is another Nun Design chain. I think I would have to look at the listing, but it's a really nice chain. Okay, so we've got this side now with the chain attached. And we're going to do the same thing on the other side. Okay, and we're just going to connect it. And thank you guys for staying with me for this project. I know it's a little bit longer than some of them, but I did want to be able to make the entire design from start to finish together. Okay. So if you're wondering how long this project takes to make, it's going to be just about an hour. Okay, and we're going to do the same thing on this side, where we're going to have a little bead cap. And then, of course, this bead. So if you see the bead cap is kind of wiggly and wonky because it doesn't have a stabilizer in there. And then we are going to go ahead and put the bead on here. And then that stabilizes the bead cap for us. And then here we go. And we put the other one on. And now we're going to create that wrapped wire loop. Oh, thanks, Santa Barbara girl. I had a lot of fun making this design. Okay, here we go. We're going to slip that little chain link in there, let it slide on down, link on up, and of course, by making your wraps, it's making it really secure. Oh, and Eric just added the fern green Cicada Pendant, which is great. Oh, thank you. Okay, last little bits to do, and then we're done, guys. So we have one more link each, and then we're going to connect it to our clasp. Okay, so the last bit we're going to do is we are going to do just a black bead. And again, you can incorporate more of this red color because this is a really cool red. So you could swap out any of these bead colors you want. Okay, so here we go. Let's get us a little bit more wire. We just got 2 more little links to make. And I will show you, because I did this clasp on my sample piece. This is a little Nunn Design toggle clasp, and I liked it because it matched the ring. So I thought that looked really nice. But I didn't have a second one of these on hand. So I picked out a different clasp, and I'm going to be using this little hook and eye clasp. So if you see how this works, I thought that was really pretty, and I liked it had a little leaf pattern, so it felt like it matched the cicadas really nicely. And because we're doing gold and antique copper, we could use antique copper or gold for our design. And that also, if you were going to use these guys, this would look really nice with it too. So if you wanted to swap out some of the components, those are really pretty on with as a combo as well. Okay, so now we're going to do our last little segment to connect our clasp. My brain stopped working there for a moment. I couldn't remember what a clasp was called. Okay, here we go. So we definitely need to connect this here. Now, if you don't like doing this where you're making the wrapped wire loop kind of as you go and connecting things to it, you could just make your regular wrapped wire loops and then connect with jump rings your components together, which is totally fine too. So if that's easier or you like that look better, that is definitely an option. Oh, that would be a pretty earring to go with this necklace, definitely. I like that idea. Yeah, because you'll have plenty of leftover of the Czech glass beads after you make this necklace. So you could make matching earrings with the supplies you've ordered. All you'd have to do is order earring hooks, or like if you wanted to make this as part of it, you would just order these guys, 2 of those, and earring hooks. But you'll have the wire, you'll have the head pins, you'll have the beads. So you'll be good to go on all the other supplies. Okay, so here we go. So we've got that. And now we're just going to attach this to part of our clasp. So what you'll want to do is look at the size of the little like ring or whatever part of the clasp that you're connecting it to, and just make sure that the loop you make is big enough. So I'm going to actually go down a little bit on my chain nose pliers, or not my chain nose, my wire looping, to make a little bit bigger loop right here. So I'm not at the very tip of the nose. And I'm just going to make a loop in the same way, but it's going to be bigger. So you see how that's a bigger loop now? And now we're going to open that up. You could also just connect this with a jump ring. You can make a regular loop and then just connect it with a jump ring. But I did want to make sure that that had plenty of room to slip in there and to move around. And now I'll just do my wraps. And this side of the necklace is done. We're just going to do the exact same thing on the other side, and then I'll show you it all put together again so you can see what it looks like. And if you want to go back and rewatch any of this, it is all archived, so you can rewatch all of these shows by all the designers. And we're getting quite a nice design team going, which is really fun. Okay, so last component here. Okay, so this one will connect to the chain. All right, couple beads. And now again, we're going to make the loop a bit bigger and kind of try to remember where we put it on the other side. And up. Okay, and now we're going to slip the little hook part of our clasp on here. And you could definitely attach this with a jump ring if that's easier. So you just make your loop as normal. right, and Eric's giving us an update on that limited edition cicada that Anne made for us. It looks like they're all accounted for, which means they're in people's cart. So if you have them in your cart, make sure to check out so that you can secure it. And then if you are wanting one and you didn't get one, check back to see if one bounced out of someone's cart. So keep an eye on that. But thank you guys, and thank you, Anne, for making those. They're so cool. Okay, guys, we're done. Okay, I want to hold this up. Let's see. I'm going to untangle my chains right here because I got twisted as I was working on it. All right, so I'm going to try to hold this up. I know the sunlight's a little bit bright, but it's the advantage of having a camera where we can do this. So here, oh, it's going to be too bright. Okay, I'm going to put it down flat. It'll be easier. Clear some spot for it. You hear beads going. My yard does look like a bit of a jungle out there right now. Okay, here we go, guys. Let's go tilt it back down. See our finished necklace, all our scraps from our work today. All right, so you've got the cicada as the focal, and then you've got the 2 chains that are draped, and then you've got the beadwork, and then you have it coming together as a clasp. Oh, I could take it outside. I don't know if it would show up any better outside. I'm going to try to show it when I flip the camera towards me. Oh, thank you guys. I'm glad you liked it. I feel like this beadwork complements it so well, and that little pop of that kind of orangey red just matches it. How long is the necklace? It's about 24 inches as it is now. You can absolutely shorten it or lengthen it right here in the chain section. If you don't want to change the beadwork, you can definitely easily adjust it. Okay, I'm going to flip the camera back and then see if, I'm going to take off the one I have on right now before I flip the camera. See if I can put this against me. Here we go. Okay, yay, this was fun. Let me try to pull this so you guys can see it. Okay, so see how this is going to drape? And you could absolutely make this shorter if you wanted to have it like that. Or, I keep twisting it as I'm pulling it up. Okay. Or you could wear it nice and long. And then you've got, I love those little black dangles. Those are, I really think that's, besides the cicada, I love the little black dangles. So you could have it like that. So lots of different ways you can wear it, but let me hold it like this because the sun's not so bright. So you can see that really cool cicada, and then you've got the beadwork, and then you've got the clasp. So this was a lot of fun, and thank you so much again to Anne. You really made this happen by doing this exclusive cicada for us. That was so much fun. We hope you'll do more in the future. Thank you guys for joining me. This was a little bit of a longer show, though we had a lot of design work to do. I hope you enjoyed it. Congratulations if you got a cicada. Have fun designing with it. Send us pictures. We would love to see what you do with it. Again, if you want to watch the show again, we do archive all these. You can find them at artbeads.com/live. And so you could rewatch the replay and learn all those tips and tricks. And then don't forget to check out all our other designers. We have someone every week, every day of the week, during the weekday, not the weekends, but Monday through Friday, we have a designer designing live. So check that out and come see us in Bead Fest over in Lancaster, Pennsylvania. And don't forget to close out your shopping carts if there was something you wanted from the show, especially if you have one of those cicadas in your shopping cart. Thank you, Kim, Teresa, Dee, Ann, Santa Barbara Girl, everyone. Thank you so much for joining me today. I will see you next week, next Wednesday, where we're going to have fun doing some more designs together. Okay, bye guys. Have a good rest of the week.